everyone, this is Fantasy-esque and welcome back to the Vampire Amazon Challenge in The Sims 4. We are following the reign of Queen Darling Cloudy Snarl, who has recently seen the death of her son and firstborn, Prince Zorro. Up until this point, the males of the castle have remained untouched by the deaths that have plagued the court. But Zorro's demise changes everything. And now the ladies have questions about what exactly he did to deserve a divine judgment. The only one who seems unsurprised is the queen herself, but she refuses to say anything, remaining tight-lipped. Before we get into anything else in this episode, there's something I want to talk about in relation to Zorro's death. I did notice this while editing the last episode's footage, but I thought I'd bring it up in this video. Prior to Zorro going outside, I did see Lady Vladislaw there for a moment before she misted back inside, which raised a lot of questions in my mind, and I feel like this is an important plot point to note. Earlier, while Akira and Yorick were going at each other in the common room and Zorro was feeling pathetic, Vladislaw was also present and playing chess with Akira. I think she was listening and observing the prince at this time. She could see something was weighing on his mind, and he was broken down enough to see his own end. But he needed a nudge. So to bait him, she sent him an anonymous note, inviting him to meet her outside because she knows what he did. In reality, she doesn't, but Zorro didn't know that. In his overwhelming guilt and need to talk about it, he went outside, but Vladislaw never showed up. I think at that point, he knew he'd been tricked, but he also felt that he deserved it, so he stayed in the sun till divine judgment was cast on him. Now, even though this was instigated by Vladislaw, we can't say it's a murder because she wasn't present at the time of his death. But I imagine she was gleefully watching through the windows or something. It's really the first time she's displayed her evil, so I definitely wanted to highlight her part in Zorro's demise. Lady Caleb has manifested new powers, so I wanted to take a quick look at that. She now has the abilities Vampiric Fascination, Garlic Immunity, and Occult Student. We are picking up at 7 a.m. on Wednesday. Queen Darling is definitely feeling, I think, quite, I would say, disturbed, unbalanced by the fact that Nimue truly is the last of her line now. She did have a very bad relationship, unfortunately, with Zorro at the time of his death. I feel like her grief in this situation is more so the grief of losing another vampire in the castle as opposed to losing her son, but outwardly, the sadness she's showing is just that. It's a show for the rest of the court. She knows why divine judgment was cast on Zorro because of something, as one of you lovelies pointed out, that she did, a decision she made. But obviously the rest of the court members don't know that, and she doesn't really want them to know, lest that change their perspective on Darling and her greatness. So she's kind of hiding that away. She's keeping that to herself. It's like a private family matter, is what she's basically said to everyone. And this kind of brought up a really interesting discussion in the comments about why the feline deities are casting judgment on certain Sims and not on others. Like in this particular situation, obviously killing Vampyre was Darling's decision, not Zorro's decision, so why was he punished for it and she wasn't? I feel like in a lot of ways, the feline deities don't have a moral compass as we know it, between good and bad. To them, they have one particular quest, which is raising and flourishing the vampiric queendom, and their morality kind of leans towards any decision that helps in their quest. So Queen Darling is their chosen vampire, their chosen queen. She's the one who they appear to in a dream to start all of this. And so a lot of what Queen Darling does is okay and justified because she is their chosen vampire. But anyone else who does something to disturb the story that the felines are trying to write, that the deities are trying to write, the way they're trying to influence fate and destiny, that's not okay. That's looked down on. So the deities kind of take them out of the picture so they don't alter the story that the deities want too much. So Queen Darling, being queen, might get away with a lot, but the others might be judged by a different standard. So I kind of wanted to talk about that because I feel like it makes for a very interesting conversation. But let's go ahead and see what's going on with our ladies. We are slowly but surely, guys, moving towards Nimwe's birthday. I just hope she makes it. I really hope she makes it. But to be honest, the whole situation with Zuleika has me freaked out because Zuleika became an immortal and then she died. Almost as though we got a false sense of security. And she got married and then she died. We got like a false sense of security from all of that. The other topic that was kind of being discussed in the comments was all of our characters kind of dying off every episode and us losing main characters and it potentially getting irritating. I do want to say on that we will always have main characters. Who the main characters are may change, however, and the story is never over. Only a certain perspective is. For me, the deaths, yes, might be tragic, but at the end of the day, help create a more tragic story that future generations will look back on and maybe connect with in some deep way. It's going to impact future vampires. And some of the times, especially if it's vampires I'm attached to, it is very heartbreaking when they die. Other times, like with the Bright Boys, not so much. But it is heartbreaking when they die. However, these are not deaths I am deciding myself and planning myself. Based on the way I'm playing the game, they're randomly occurring. But I like taking these random things in stride. I'm not the type of person that gets upset when a sim dies or the story changes in a way that I didn't plan for. I like adapting and I like having fun with whatever I'm given. And this happens with bugs as well. One of you lovelies were kind enough to actually point out that the conversation that was happening between Akira and Yorick and the way their relationship was like going in the red so quickly in such like a short span of time, it was because there's probably a bug in the game, because you kind of saw this happen with another creator that you watch, which I had no clue about, so thank you for pointing that out. But even with things like bugs, I do like to embrace them because sometimes they make me think out of the box about why something might happen. And in this context with Akira and Yorick, it made a lot of sense to me, so I am absolutely okay with that. The other thing I do want to point out that has happened in the background, Lady Lilith, guys. Lady Lilith has actually, I'll come back to her. I'll come back to her when we're doing her whim. But she has changed a trait. She has changed a trait in a very interesting direction. But okay, Queen Darling wants to be mischievous, so let's see who she has the closest relationship with. She has an 18 with Vladislav, a 62 with Caleb, a 34 with Akira, 43 with Lilith, and a 49 with Nimue. Okay, she's got the closest with Caleb right now. She wants to be mischievous with her. In the last episode, was it? Or the episode before, I think the queen was comforting herself with Caleb by joking with Caleb that, her daughter's gonna be fine. She's the last one standing. It means she will remain the last one standing. I do feel as though Zara's death has given her a little bit of a shock. So how about let's see. We're gonna lighten things up just a little bit. She's gonna impersonate mermaids. And I'm going to interpret that as the queen talking about kind of a fantastical time, where everything is okay and nothing more disturbing is going to happen to anyone. And I feel like a lot of us have been trained at this point to accept that there will be a death in every episode. I mean, some of you guys have been cracking me up because you jump down into the comments and take a look to see if anyone has died before actually watching the episode, which fair. At this point, I am also in the mental headspace where I am expecting a death to occur in the episode, and when it does, then I kind of let out, a sigh of relief, a breath of relief that, well, everyone survived. But okay, the queen is definitely trying to cheer herself up. But I feel like the more she copes with things this way, the more abnormal she seems to some of the other ladies, especially Caleb, because there must be a reason why the queen is not grieving for her son. She knows something. What happened that the queen is not necessarily reacting to this the way everyone else is? But the fact that, in a way, I feel like all the ladies are also getting habituated to grief because they're coming out of their sadness and coping with it very, very quickly. They're falling into other emotional states very, very quickly. Okay, Nimue wants to chat with Yorick. Chat with her crush. So let's go find Yorick. Where the heck is he? Where is Yorick? No. Don't hide. Don't hide. I wanna find you. Okay. Yorick. So Yorick's feeling sad. Let's get Nimue to talk to him. Let's discuss logic puzzles. Why not? I feel like Nimue, because this is the first male death that we've had, has been unable to wrap her head. She did not like her brother. I'm pretty sure she hated her brother, but still. It concerns her that Zorro died in that way because it means that Yorick also has a chance of dying, because Zorro and Yorick both live in the male faculty, and I think Nimue, it's kind of funny, for the first time she's taking interest in anything political, but I feel like for the first time she's actually racking her brain to figure out why this happened and how this happened, because she wants to stop it from happening to Yorick. Vladislav, I love the chaos that she has caused, and she is sleeping so peacefully in her coffin right now. Okay, Vladislav, can we get you up and get you to take a bath? And then she wants to play an instrument. Look at that. This is the first death she has actively caused. And obviously this brings her a lot of enjoyment. I mean, she's only heard about these deaths a lot of the times. She's never actually witnessed one herself. But because of her fascination, I think that it excites her to be the one actually pulling the strings in the background for the first time. But let's send her up here, get her to... Oh, she can play haunting music? What? Let's go play haunting music. Let's go play some haunting music. Okay, she is gonna go ahead. She's gonna play some music. Oh, that is so cool! Look at the way the organ looks. Oh wow, okay, that is creepy and that is definitely cool. But I totally imagine her watching from the windows as Zorro died. I mean, who knows, from the windows, from the balcony? I feel like she would have been watching from somewhere. Oh my goodness, she's loving this music. She's loving it. Okay, that is Vladislav. And honestly, I think Vladislav is starting to learn what it means to push her limits, and she's starting to learn what it means to kind of go beyond everyone's very naive expectations. Because up until this point, she's never really caused chaos. She's been evil, which we've been aware of, but she hasn't done anything to validate that, and this was her first thing. But she kind of, I think, was keeping a low profile and studying everyone for a long time, and now she's trying to push the envelope and on what can be done. Okay, Caleb, meanwhile, Caleb wants to also chat with Lord Yorick, so let's go find him. Oh, he's on the rocking chair, and I'm pretty sure, let's vent to him, but this is where Zorro was the other day, I think in the other episode, which is so sad. It was one of the final things that he kind of did. But Caleb, we know Caleb's been attached to the youngsters. They've been getting picked off. Before it was only the females that had to worry about, but now the males are dying. And I think Caleb would feel the need to have a conversation with Yorick, because all of this is making her feel very, very tense about his future, about Nimue's future, and I feel like she would be talking to him to caution him against the sun and being out in the day and things to do to keep safe. Nimue, I think, had maybe more. She was trying to go through it logically, but I feel like that need to talk about it stemmed from her emotional side, her I think desperation to keep Yorick alive because she's starting to really like him and she wants to hold on to him. But with Caleb, I think this just comes from, a place of concern, being one of the vampires that kind of watched him grow up. She wants to make sure he's okay. So we'll go and complete that. And finally, Lady Lilith, guys. She is going to play the violin if we can find the flippin' violin. Maybe, does someone have it in the inventory? Does someone have... Okay, Akira does. I'm going to give it to Lilith. Lilith is going to play the violin. Let's see. Oh, Descent. You know what? Descent is a great title for what she's playing right now, because we're going to talk about the trait that changed for her. Guys, Lilith in her grief, right? Because with these Sims, when they cope with grief, they can change a trait because of that. Like, that's their way of coping. And in her effort to cope with grief, she has swapped her cheerful trait for the mean trait. That's right. We were missing more mean Sims in the castle. I don't think we've had one since Zara's death. But Lilith, our sweet Lilith, has embraced this. And I think this is Lilith's way of trying to distance herself from caring, because caring makes you hurt and caring makes you upset and distraught and heartbroken for everyone, like the young vampiric lives that are dying around her. This is her way to distance herself from that, because when you get too tangled with every life in court, then the losses you go through, and loss is a normal thing in vampiric society. It's an expected thing. And I feel like not only the strength to survive a death is important, but the strength to survive through loss is important to the vampires. And not everyone might have that capacity. So with Lilith, this is her kind of putting an emotional armor on to make sure that none of that brings her down. She's not too weighed down by it. And I'm pretty sure she has an ability. Hold on a second. She actually has Beyond the Herd, which means her social need never goes down. She has no kind of need to socialize. And she was already manifesting powers and abilities that were taking her in that direction. But from the recent death that has occurred with Zara, she's kind of decided that no. She put a stop to it. She's going to start distancing herself from the others. She had a good impression of Zara, and she doesn't want to do that anymore. It's too tiring. It's too emotionally exhausting. So we'll have to see when and how this manifests itself, her being mean and to who. But I thought that was such an intriguing thing for our sweet Lilith, who we were hoping was going to give really good guidance to the next generation. I think it's interesting that she is starting to maybe embody a little bit of what Zara used to be. As the castle fell into a state of isolation and everyone found ways to cope with their grief, Lady Akira invited the queen for a chat in the royal crypt. She felt that as mothers whose children were married to each other, they had a unique understanding of their losses. She also reflected on the many things the two of them had witnessed in the court over the many years of Darling's reign. Queen Darling had been through thick and thin with Akira from the moment she'd sat on the throne. The difficult beginning had flourished into friendship and then into family with the wedding of their children. Now Akira was a trusted voice in her council, and a vampire the queen knew she could count on. But while the queen was reminiscing with her counselor, Crown Princess Nimue was feeling restless about Yorick's future. She summoned her father Selim to the royal crypt so that she could question him about life in the male faculty and what the older vampires were doing to ensure Yorick's survival. Afterwards, Nimue found herself wandering the gallery and came face to face with Lady Vladislaw, who already had an insult brewing on her tongue. Vladislaw mocked the princess for hiding away from time itself and being like a mouse in her mother's bed. Vampires were immortal by nature. Time was the one thing they could never escape from. In another part of the castle, Lady Caleb thought about the meals she had cooked in this very kitchen, and the youngsters who had eaten them over the years. Youngsters who were now mere ashes in the crypts, and she could see the way this heartbreak was affecting those around her. It spawned a question in her mind that she couldn't shake. What kind of court was she heading into after Queen Darling? And with that said and done, I'm going to leave off here. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.